Good morning, Mount Calvary, or whatever time of day that you are joining us on this day that the Lord has made. Um, as we continue going through the book Unforgivable by Ted Kober and Dr. Mark Rockenbach, which can be found in the link below. It's a very practical book. It's a very easy book to read. Has a lot of stories about their years and years of counseling and psychology that they have experienced as Christian men. So we have this past week, we have kind of been focusing on and how as Christians, we are able to forgive even the most unforgivable sin, whatever that may be, because of what Christ has done with us. And if you are walking with somebody who's having a problem of forgiving, and they are a Christian, and Ted Kober or Dr. Rockenbach try to give you in the Bible verses to show you how you can try to guide that person in seeing what Christ has forgiven them from. But so our entire week we have been focusing on our ability to forgive because of what Christ has done for us. But it leads us to an interesting question that they raise: is can non-believers forgive? Right? We've been talking about how Christians can forgive, but what about non-believers? People who don't believe in Jesus and who are living a secular, who are living in the world and all those things. And maybe it's a question that you've never really thought about. Maybe it's a question that you have thought about. I know for me, I never really thought about it too much before initially reading this book at seminary. So let us begin. Can non-believers forgive? Anyone can forgive from a worldly perspective. That is, all people can try to let go of bitterness and anger and decide not to dwell on their hurt. They avoid bringing up the offense and not to talk to others about the offense. They try to dig it down, but they can employ coping mechanisms to ease their suffering. Because it is so difficult to do this, they may end up denying their pain, internalizing it. Mental health professionals may be helpful in guiding them through a process of forgiveness from their personal health, but those offended may end up stuck in a loop that they cannot escape. Others may try to medicate with drugs or alcohol or other self-destructive behaviors as a substitute for forgiveness. But non-believers cannot forgive as the Lord forgives, because they themselves do not believe that they are forgiven by God. You can't give what you don't have. You can't give what you don't have. Only a person who has received the gift of Jesus' forgiveness can give that forgiveness to others. So, here is the main point of this book. To overcome unforgiveness, you must first receive and remember God's gift of forgiveness for you and for the other person. I think that's important, and for the other person. Then, and only then, you can share the gift you have received. You can forgive as the Lord forgave you. And that is what Ted Kober and Dr. Rockenbach have been trying in the first chapter, is to get us to recognize that. And it's interesting to think about how a non-believer cannot forgive as a Christian. So, all right, well, I have 2 tasks for you today. If you would like to only choose one in time and all that, that is fine. But I would like for you to do one, so whichever one you are more inclined to do. So if you are in need of forgiveness from someone, read some of the following Bible passages referenced in this chapter, such as Psalms 103, verses 13, Psalms 103, 1 through 13, 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 21, and 1 Peter 2, verse 24. The question, after you read these 3 different Bible verses, is: what comfort do you find in these words? What comfort do you find in these words, or if you are in need of forgiveness from someone? And then the other one is the other question that I would like for you to do is write a prayer asking for God's help and hope in your journey to overcome unforgiveness. So write a prayer asking for God's help and hope in your journey to overcome unforgiveness. So those are the two things I'd like for you to do as we end this week of going through the book Unforgivable. Hopefully you enjoyed it and you are excited as we kind of continue going through it in the next daily devotions. So let us end with our prayer for the day. Dear Lord, our unforgiveness is a curse. It drives a wedge, walls us apart, creating enemies and worse. Imprisons both our mind and our hearts. O Christ, who burst the bonds of hell, break down the prison walls as well, that we erect and wall about, to fence us in, but others out. Lord, tear them down in your dear name, nor let a barrier remain, for you have bought our liberty. Your resurrection sets us free. Amen.